be talking about project panning and my thoughts on it in general, where I think it's going and where I think a lot of people go wrong with project panning, including me. There is this concept that, you know, like hitting pan or finishing items is the be end and end all of everything project panning. And I think there should be a shift, or maybe there is a shift coming. I mean, I've seen a lot of people kind of talk about this over the years. I think if you've been project panning for a long time, you kind of fall into the trap of feeling this pressure and wanting to do all the projects, not being able to do all the projects, and then seeing yourself fall behind in a way where, you know, you see others who are hitting pan every single month and you're not, and what are you doing wrong? How is this working? It's probably making you miserable. You know, there is a lot to do with project panning that I think, you know, unless you're actually in the thick of it and you've been doing it for years, you don't really necessarily like get it. And so this video is kind of like, I want to like debunk it. I want to just be like, you know what, let's take it back a step. Like, why are we all doing this? What can we do to make it better for ourselves? What are the traps? And I'm going to be doing my makeup obviously because I have a bare face. So it's just a little bit of a talk. It's just something that is always on my mind, and it's not new. I've seen a lot of people kind of talk similarly about it. But it's just one of these things that, you know, I just want to talk about. So we're going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about the items that I put on my face. They're mostly going to be Shop My Stash or project pan items. I might end up picking something else, but I will leave them all in the description just so you can see what I use. But yeah, so basically, let me take a step back. I started project panning in 2020. And it was the first video that I did on my channel, and it was the reason why I created my channel. I just thought, this looks fun, and I want to do it. So, you know, I kind of started doing it. And I had, at that point, I wasn't chronically online in the sense that I was like on social media all the time or anything like that. I just had my son, and even so, I had a lot of skincare that I had accumulated over the years. I had makeup that I had accumulated over the years, little beauty items, you know, skincare, whatnot, just little bits and bobs that I never finished. Some of them I never touched. Some of them I got in beauty boxes. Some of them I got in with gift with purchase. Some of them I bought myself and just never really like finished them and used them. I was pretty basic with my makeup. I would wear a foundation, a little bit of primer, foundation, concealer, and most of the time like no eyeshadow, but I did have a few eyeshadow palettes at the time. So, and then obviously tons of mascara because that's like my jam. And also tons of lip products. I did have a lip product issue, which I still do. But anyway, I'm not going to go through too much, but I stumbled down the rabbit hole that is project panning. I had no idea what this was. Obviously, it's been around a very long time, pre-2020, because people have been doing this for 10 plus years, right? It's been around a very, very long time, but I found it. I found a few creators who weren't like massively big, quite honestly, but you know, I wasn't even on YouTube, and I was like, wow, like they're doing that. That looks interesting. Like I could do that. That looks something that I could do. So I made my first video. It's atrocious. I didn't know what I was doing, and I still don't know what I'm doing, but I started, right? And it was exciting to me because I had these items that, you know, I felt like I could probably try to finish, try to pan, and I got sucked into the world. Now, what I did find later on is that, you know, there were all these projects that I could join. So I just like did my own sort of project pan. And then I noticed there's a pan, there's eyeshadows. What does that mean? There's the Fantastic Ladies Facebook group where you have so many different projects, all with like super creative concepts and interesting, you know, like little prompts and everything. And that was exciting too, because it opened my eyes to this whole new world of just, what am I doing? I'm getting the wrong brush. I'm getting distracted. It opened my eyes to a whole new world. A whole new world. Do, 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 do. You know what I mean? I just didn't know any of this existed. Okay, now I can see. Now I can see. I'm good. So it was exciting. And I think anyone who first gets into project panning, there's a little bit of, you know, hesitation. You're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But once you start doing it, for me personally, it was exciting to just like start getting into it. And I did a lot of projects very fast without really realizing what I was really doing to myself. Not only that, obviously I was posting on YouTube, and a lot of people who project pan don't post online, or they just do it on Instagram. You know, obviously now you can do it TikTok, or back then I guess you could, but I didn't really know anything about TikTok then. And not everyone posts it on YouTube, right? But that's all I was doing, and then a little bit on Instagram, and it was just fun. It opened up this whole new world, like I mentioned. I think what I didn't realize at the time was it opened up this whole new world of me wanting to buy more so that I could project pan more. And so this is really, I think, the killer of project panning in general, because it goes against the whole concept of what project panning is about, what it should be about, why it is. And it's something that I've noticed over the years constantly, and I have been at fault at it too. What I found was I had actually a really, really small makeup collection, and I very rapidly grew my makeup collection exponentially. It was just really just kind of crazy how it grew over the few months that after I started my channel. And it wasn't only just I bought all these items to project pan, but I needed a variety. I needed, like, well, I don't have enough in my collection to project pan, so I need to buy more so that I have more to talk about in videos. Sorry, it's my phone. I have more to talk about in videos, more to be able to play with in projects and switch them out and everything like that. And quite honestly, it was pretty bad. I'm going to say it was pretty bad for a few years, where I felt like I had to buy items for my channel. So anyway, before I get into all of that, because I'm kind of like jumping all over the place, I have a lot of thoughts. I want to go back to like the pressure that you feel when you, I guess, first start project panning, or you've been doing it for a while and it gets a little overwhelming. I think everyone has probably felt this at some point if you've project panned. If you haven't, you're doing it right. Kudos to you. But for me personally, and I know a lot of people who project pan and have mentioned this over the years, you get burnout. You start to feel like you're only focusing on the items that are in projects. You're only trying to hit pan in certain eyeshadow shades in a palette and ignoring the rest of the palette. You are neglecting your big collection that you have accumulated over the years, the months, the weeks, whatever it is, because you're just focused on these particular projects. And then when you have to do your update, there's only so many days in a month to really get through items. And unless you are changing your makeup 3 times a day and wearing makeup every single day, there really isn't enough time in your life to be able to do that much. You know, it really is just it's not feasible. And I learned that the hard way. I really learned that the hard way, because what I would find is I would come on here and I would realize, you know, I need to hit pan. And you know what? I would purposely like this was like in the first year. I'm going to be blatantly honest. First year, I would dig my brush in so hard, just like more than I needed to in the eyeshadow to try to hit pan. I was like, this, you know, I need to show progress. I need to. And not only that, if I wasn't doing that, I was wearing maybe a yellow for 3 months straight. And I didn't really want to wear yellow eyeshadow, but I had it in a project and I needed to do it. This actually happened, this is an actual example. This happened when I was doing my project level up. My Honey from Colourpop rolled in. That palette obviously is mustardy yellow. I was working on that. It was only my project level 3, but it's Colourpop. Those are hard to hit pan, especially the mattes for me personally. It's very rare that I find Colourpop shades, even actually shimmers, that are easy to hit pan on. I have found a few, but they're few and far in between. You know, they're not it's not what you typically expect from Colourpop. They're actually pretty hard to hit pan on. So I was wearing this mustard yellow eyes for definitely 3 months, maybe even a little bit longer. Obviously, I was wearing other makeup at the time, but I felt like I was doing the same look over and over again. And it wasn't making me happy, but I felt like I had to do it. I had to do it. And, you know, because I need to do this because I want to go to level 4. And, you know, I still do that project, and I still, to this day, feel that pressure sometimes to have progress. Come on here and say, look, I've hit pan, or look, doesn't it look different? There's a huge dent in this now. I only have so-and-so left to do. And that's in every project pan that I currently do. There is this guilt that if you come on here and you don't show enough progress in using your items in your makeup, you're somewhat not doing it right, and you're not focusing enough, and you're just not an inspiration to other people, which, if you think about it, is the dumbest thing ever. Now, it definitely took me, I think, a couple years in my project pan journey to realize that I don't have to come on here to show progress. It's nice when I can show progress. I still feel down if I don't have that much progress, but that's just me. I mean, that's just a me thing, I think, at this point. But I ultimately am not afraid to say, look, this is not working. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not happy about it. I recently did that with my Pan That palette in order. I got actually some dislikes on that video. I don't know what people disliked, but I'm assuming it's that I didn't finish the project. I basically stopped doing it because I came on here and I was honest and I said, look, I'm not having fun with this palette anymore. I've done as much as I want to do with this palette. And I think for me personally, I just want to take a break. That was kind of what I said in that video. And I stopped it short. I did hit a lot of pans in that palette. I don't feel bad about that. I got a lot of comments saying you did not fail. You did great, blah, blah, blah. And I agree. Like, I don't feel bad for where I am with that palette, but I think had I done that 2 years ago, I would have felt this massive guilt that I hadn't done it, you know, and I'm letting people down. And that is so silly. So that's where I'm saying, like, there is this kind of like a peer pressure in the project panning community. Like, if you don't show enough progress, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it right. You're using the wrong products. You're not focusing. You're not doing it. And it's stupid, because at the end of the day, what are we actually doing here? We have a lot of makeup and we are using our makeup. That is the only thing that should matter. And the thing that I kind of want to move on to next is, at some point, and I mentioned this before, when you're project panning and you get more items in your collection, sometimes you get those items because you know that they're going to be fun to project pan. Now, there's a little bit of an example here. In several different projects, but this one project in particular, the 50 Shades of Color from the Fantastic Ladies. I think it's a great concept for a project pan. I think it's really, really fun. And it actually, like, it could be 50 shades of anything. It doesn't have to be makeup. It could be skincare, whatever, you know, it can be anything. But the amount of times I clicked on a video, I don't really watch them anymore, to be fair. But when I clicked on the video back in the day, and I would see people prepping for their 50 Shades of project, and they would be like, I don't have 50 items, so I'm gonna go buy these 20 items for this project pan so that I can participate. That to me doesn't make any sense, because what is the concept of project panning? Like, I don't want to be mean. The concept of project panning is to use the items that you have. It is a way to battle overconsumption, right? Because we love to shop, we love to buy, we love to hoard, like we just do. And whether it's makeup, skincare, hair care, books, we like to collect things. I think there is a very small percentage of people in the world who don't like hoarding. I think it's it must be something in our nature, something like from prehistorical, where we just feel like we have to safeguard what we have and maybe get more and more and more because it makes us feel better. But it is a little bit of a dopamine effect. It's like you get more, but then the feeling doesn't last very long, and so you got to get more. And especially in the beauty community, if you don't have the newest items, you feel like you're missing out. Like, look, I'm using this Colourpop Nightbloom shade. This came out 2020, something like that. It's still in my collection. Have I hit pan in it? No. Am I anywhere close? No, but I still use it. I pulled it from my stash and I'm using it, right? It's just something that I want to use, but I'm not going to force myself to hit pan in every single thing in my collection. And I'm also not going to go and declutter this simply because it's really old now. Nobody can buy it. I'm going to go buy the latest, newest thing. Not to say I don't like buying new things, but I am not going to be decluttering items that are fine and I actually like. I would declutter if I didn't like it, but I actually like this. Like in the beauty space that we are in, there is I think when a new product comes out, it's kind of relevant for like a day or two, and then it's gone. And then the next new thing is out because there's just too much coming out at once, all the time. And we can't keep up. We can't keep up. But a lot of us who love makeup, who love beauty, also do project panning. So like, how does that work? You want the new items, you want the latest new things, but you also want to project pan items. How do you do it? Well, I think you have to take a step back. You have to just relax about it. Because if you try to pan everything in your collection, you will go mad. Unless you have one bronzer, one blush, one of everything, it's very doable, obviously, because that's all you wear. But a lot of us are not like that. So if we want a big collection, that's absolutely fine, but we shouldn't put this pressure on ourselves to do all the projects, to try to hit pan and everything, finish items, hate pan. Hate pan is the biggest thing that I would say to avoid. And that is what I've been trying to do for the last few years on my channel, just simply because then it takes the fun out of it. Like, why am I doing what I'm doing if I'm hate panning? I want to use items that I still enjoy. Yes, I get a huge sort of boost if I hit pan in something. I get a boost if I finish something, which doesn't happen very much because I do have a lot of makeup. I have a small makeup collection compared to some people, but I have a large makeup collection compared to others. It really is relative, right? So anyway, back to the point of buying products for project panning, because I think I went off that topic a little bit. I was going to be so precise with this video, and now I'm like jumping all over the place. I think there's just too much to say, and unless I write a script, which I do not write scripts, I don't know what I'm saying most of the time, but it defeats the purpose. Like, a project pan is trying to get through the items that you buy because you simply have too many items, or maybe you just want the joy of project panning. Like, I went into project panning because it looked fun, but I found myself buying more makeup to be able to do projects. And then I still saw other people do this specifically for the 50 Shades of Color project pan, which I did actually try to do. I did 50 Shades of Yellow, and I didn't do 50 items all at once. I think I only rolled in like 20 items, and I was like, I'll roll in more as I go. But I ended up not even completing that project because I found out really pretty early on in my project panning life that doing specific prompts or specific project pans is not for me. It takes the joy out of it. I've done a lot of different project pans where you have to follow a prompt and you change it every single month. I mean, deck panning is like that. And that's the reason why I've never done it, because it's just not something that I want to do. I don't want to change my project pan items every single month or just use an item 8 times and roll it out. But I do think that that is a great way if you're struggling to go through your items, if you do that. For me personally, it's not something that I kind of use project panning for. Project panning for me is just simply, it is what it is. I either want to use the item till I hit pan, maybe roll it out, use the item till I finished it, roll it out. I don't usually put any other timestamps to that. So what I've done to sort of minimize the pressure that I basically impose on myself or I feel from others in the project planning community, and the pressure of also just like not using my collection to its fullest, because I am doing project pans, I am doing pan those eyeshadows, I'm doing project level up, I'm doing pan that palette. I like to do little makeup challenges, and I've been doing that definitely for the last 6 months or so. I think more so than ever, where I've been doing more, where I do like 5 looks, 1 palette, and it's not really necessarily because I think that video is going to do well, but I want to challenge myself to use that palette 4 or 5 different times, you know, really just hone in on a palette, give it some use that it deserves, because I buy 99% of my makeup, so I want my money to go somewhere. So I do that. I do palette bingo with my Pan Those eyeshadows, which I actually was meant to do this month, but I haven't done it. Where, you know, obviously with Pan Those eyeshadows, you focus on just the shade in the palette. But for me, I don't want to neglect all the shades in the palette. So I've done a palette bingo now for a few months where I ignore the ones that I am trying to hit pan on, and I do a makeup look with random shades from the palettes. And it just gives me an opportunity to use shades that I am absolutely neglecting in my collection. I've done the random makeup generator where I have my whole collection in Tiny Decisions, and I randomize what primer, what foundation, you know, palette. I do the palette bingo. Again, that is, I kind of leave it up to chance, because if I'm going to pick what I do on my eyes, it's either going to be my Shop My Stash or my Project Pan, which is not a bad thing. I do shop my stashes every single month. Now that is also a great way to get through your makeup that you are neglecting. I honestly have a sneaky suspicion. I don't know if this is just me because I'm a cynical person, but I really do feel like some people that I see do shop my stashes or everyday makeup drawers, I don't believe half of them. I don't know what it is. I feel like because it's a popular video, people do it. But I also think that it might just be that they do that, but they also kind of neglect the items that they pull for that month because they're still working on maybe Project Pan items. And I am also guilty of this, where I will roll something into my Shop My Stash to use for the month, and I'll only use it once. And I feel kind of shitty about that, I'm not gonna lie. Then at the same time, I shouldn't feel bad about that because I used it that one time, and had I not rolled it into my Project Pan, I might not have used it at all. So I don't know, it's like a double-edged sword. You win and you lose, either way you look at it, because we all have, I'm going to say we all have, not all of us, but you know, we all have huge, massive collections that we just simply cannot get through. And then you see those videos where I have like 50 years of makeup, blah, blah, blah. I've never done that because I don't really care about it. And I don't really want to know because it really is not going to change my life at all. But it does put into perspective how much makeup we really have and how long things take to hit pan. And the fact that a blush can take 2-3 years just to hit pan on it. But you maybe have 20 other blush in your collection. You just work on that one blush for 2-3 years. What is the point? Like, is that actually enjoyable? I think for some people it probably is. I think if you are struggling with that, you should just use what you want to use and make it your own. Just make a Project Pan work for you and try not to get sucked in to the pressure of only having to hit pan on items to be able to enjoy your collection, because it is just not going to make you happy at the end of the day. You might really find enjoyment hitting pan and getting progress, but eventually you're going to feel like you can't buy new makeup. You're going to feel as though you have wasted all your money. Half of your collection is sitting there, getting older, maybe growing mold, just getting to the point where it expires and you have barely used it because you have Project Pan. 3 other things. for a whole year and you've neglected half of your collection? I don't know. It's a hard one because I don't really have a solution to it, quite honestly. I think what I've seen some other people do, like Alex Lizette or Alejandra Lizette, I hope I said that right. What she does is she does a seasonal project pan, and I think a lot of other people probably do this and they would benefit from it too, where it makes sense because in her actual life, she only uses certain products at a certain time in the year. The rest of the time, she won't use those items. But why is she going to put them in a project pan, like a rolling project pan that will last for a year and a half, and then for 6 months or 7 months, she's hate panning it. She doesn't want to use it. She only wants to use it for like 3 months in the year. It doesn't make sense. So I think ultimately you have to make project panning work for you and stop caring about what other people do. I think that is ultimately, I mean, that's like what people need to do in life though, right? I mean, the sun's come out, so I probably seem pretty bright right now, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where if you are finding yourself struggling with, you know, overconsumption and you've been project panning, but you also still feel like you are not getting anywhere, just take a step back and think, why am I doing this? Is it fun? If it's not fun, stop doing it. If it is fun, but it's not, I don't know, you still feel like it's not working, what is not working about it? Do you have too many projects? Do you spend too long trying to hit pan? Maybe you need to have a seasonal project pan. Maybe you do your projects and you do a makeup challenge. You do something else that will let you use other makeup in your collection that you love, or you just do like a little, like not even if you post it, just do it for yourself. Like those little makeup challenges that I've done, I think anyone really should do them because I think they're kind of fun, but you don't need to post it. You don't need to show anybody. Just do it for yourself. I think ultimately it's our face, right? It's our makeup. We don't need to prove ourselves to anyone else, right? It's what we want to look like. It's how we want to present ourselves to the world, to our partners, to our family, our friends, or just to ourselves in our little office. And maybe we don't even like show it to anyone else. We're just sitting here playing with our makeup. Like just spend time doing your makeup just for yourself, for nobody else. I'm trying to find a clean brush. This is like the life of it's my life story. I cannot find any clean brush. But yeah, I think ultimately you have to think, why am I doing this? Like, what is it about this that I'm doing? Am I doing it because it's popular? Am I doing it because it brings me joy? Am I doing it because I want to get through items in my collection and I simply have too much? I think if you get to the point where you're buying items to project pan, or you're buying items that you think will be easy to project pan, that's where you lose me. And I thankfully did not get sucked into it too much. Definitely the beginning of my channel, I was massively sucked into that because I was like, you know what? I just don't have enough. I don't have as much makeup as everyone else. So I need to get more makeup. That's how sick it was making me feel. Like I was like, I don't have enough. But then like, what is the point of project panning? It's to reduce your makeup consumption. It's to reduce your spending. It's use what you have. And then I found myself feeling like, well, I don't have the items that I want to project pan, so I'm just going to keep building my makeup, my collection. I think a large part of that is probably also because I had a channel. I don't think I probably would have felt that way had I not created a YouTube channel. So that might be just like an isolated incident, but still, it's not a good feeling whatsoever. And it's not something that I would advise anyone to go ahead and do. I still feel the pressure of buying new items, but it's not to project pan anymore. It's just more, I don't want to become stale. I don't want people to get bored of my content because I'm using old makeup. I'm using makeup that they can't buy. But I personally I'm not going to fall down that. I have those negative thoughts in my head, but it's not going to get there. Trust me, it's not going to get there because I wear makeup for myself. I don't even wear it. I don't wear it for my partner. I don't wear it for anyone but myself. If somebody comments on my makeup, that's cool. We're doing like a really but I just don't care at this point. I think if you have a big collection and you're not project panning and you do feel upset that you're not project panning, I don't think you need to. I don't think everyone needs to project pan. I don't think it is ultimately a way to value how much you love your collection and your makeup. I think you can love your collection and your makeup and your beauty items just by having them, maybe playing with them a little bit, looking at them, like I swatch my stuff all the time. I know a lot of you do as well. Just because I don't have a pan, just because I don't have a pan in a palette, it doesn't mean that I don't love that palette. Like my favorite palette in my collection, ultimately, that I think if I didn't have any other palette in my collection and I just kept one, it would be the Gloss Gods Gown Jupiter. I don't have a pan in that palette. And I also know I haven't used that palette as much as I've used other palettes in my collection. Other palettes in my collection that I do enjoy, there are some palettes in my collection that I don't like as much as the Gown Jupiter, but I've used them way more. And that kind of makes me sad, but it also doesn't change the fact that I love that palette. And I don't really care if I never have a pan in it. It is just a palette that is and has always been able to make me feel pretty when I use it, basically. Like these do not match. These do not match. I'm trying, but they don't match. And I think that is absolutely fine. Like some of my favorite makeup items, I might never finish. Like I love lip products. I think I've only panned maybe one. Well, I panned a lip gloss a few years ago. It wasn't a favorite of mine. But I don't think I've ever panned a lipstick item that I have loved. Let me put it that way. And I don't think I ever will. There are just too many of them and it's just not enjoyable for me. That does not mean that I don't love my collection. So I don't think that the pressure that we put on ourselves to finish items and to hit pan on things is valid or a valid way to show how much we love our collection. And I know we all say, oh, I love how this palette looks because it looks so loved. I loved how this looks because I've really used it. And I feel that. I do feel that. But it's a sickness. Let me tell you, it's a false reality of what's really going on because, yeah, of course, you've used that palette a bunch. You might have used that palette though because you've done a pan that palette. You might have used that palette because you love it. You might have used that palette because you went on holiday. You might have used that palette because it's been rolled in to 6 different projects and you actually don't even love it, but you've used it so much in your collection, it looks like you really, really have loved it. I don't know. What am I saying? I don't know what I'm saying anymore, and I just don't think that is a healthy way to look at our makeup. I think it's really nice to see somebody with a collection that looks used, but at the same time, I'm not going to judge you if you carry on buying multiple eyeshadows because that makes you happy. I think I'm at the point where I just don't care. I don't care anymore about other people's collections. I just want to use what I use in my collection, and that is kind of how everyone else should feel too. I don't know if I like this pointy part. I don't have one there, so why do I have one here? I think I'm gonna go with that. Quite a dramatic look today. Gabby, what are you doing? I'm actually going into this because it's the only palette in my collection that I haven't used this year. Is that why I'm going into it? Yes. So again, I'm feeling a little bit of this pressure, like I have to use all of my makeup. I don't, but I put that fake pressure on myself. yeah, it's I don't know what to tell you because I don't have a solution to this at all. But I think there are definitely things that people can do to alleviate the pressure. I think that's like all I'm saying, really. I don't really think that what I'm saying is a new concept at all. I just think if we love our makeup and we're using it however we please to, however we want to use it, you know, like I don't want to use my makeup just to please other people. And that is something, like if that means that I have to change some of the projects that I'm doing or how I look at project panning in the future, I think that's probably something that I'll do, but I also don't care. I don't mind. Just should be fun. And that's kind of just why I do my own project pan. I don't follow prompts because I don't want to follow a prompt to tell me to use a makeup item that I personally don't want to be using right now. I want to use what I want to use. Is any of this making sense? I don't know if I'm even making sense. I know that I have fallen down the rabbit hole of project panning, and I still am very much a project panner in that, you know, I like to keep track of everything. I even keep track of all the eyeshadow that I use because for me personally, that is the fun part about it. Like what I've even started to think for next year, should I, like this is something I've thought to myself and I've thought of ways to track it, but I track all the eyeshadow that I use and I write it down on a piece of paper, and then when I've done like an update on a project, I put it in my spreadsheet, or if it's an eyeshadow palette that's not in a project, I will put it in my spreadsheet straight after I do my makeup. And I started to wonder, do I want to do something similar to other makeup in my collection? Do I want to keep track of how many times I go into, you know, this Colourpop single here, which actually that's not a good example because I have that. But how many times do I want to track how many times I go into this, which is a Kiko Milano bronzer? Like every time I use specific products, am I also, like I do track it from my project pan, but I don't track my usage in my Shop My Stashes or anything like that. And I've started to think, is that something, because I like to track things like that. I like statistics. I like stats and all that stuff. Has any of what I've been saying made sense to anyone? I don't know. I personally don't know. I think I haven't really explained it or talked about it the way that I was hoping to, or articulate in a way that I was hoping to. I think there is a lot to this topic that I could probably expand on more. But I think ultimately what I really would just wanted to kind of get from talking about this is, if anyone is feeling that type of pressure that I've spoken about, where you just are not enjoying it. Now, having obviously said all this, I'm still going to be project panning because there is enjoyment in it for me. But like with the, you know, Pan That Palette in Order project, which I've already said I'm bringing it back next year. I just want a break. With that one, I'm going to try to not force myself to just keep going with a project that I'm not finding enjoyment from anymore. And it kind of annoys me that people didn't like that. Like, it's my life. You know, that's kind of annoying. It kind of reminds me, I used to do a project 10 uses. And so what I would do is in my Shop My Stash, I would do my Shop My Stash, and then I would want to use my Shop My Stash items 10 times before I roll them out, right? And I did that for, I think, a couple of years. And I remember one time I posted my video, and I think there was a bunch of items that I did not use 10 times, but I said in the video, you know, I'm going to roll it out anyway, just because, you know, I'm just not enjoying it. I've had it in my Shop My Stash for 3 months now, and I don't want to use it anymore. And I got not one, but multiple comments saying this is disappointing. That, you know, oh, I don't like this. This is disappointing. I'm disappointed that you're doing that. And at the time I felt like I had let people down because I was not working on items that they wanted me to finish, like complete the 10 uses. But listen, this is my channel. This is my life. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to sit here and hate pan items just to say that I've done it. Or I'm not going to sit here and lie to you to say that I've done it so I can get that fake praise. It's just stupid. I'm not doing that. And if something is not making me happy, I'm not going to do it. The whole point of my channel for me was to be part of a community that for the most part is the loveliest community. Everyone is really, really nice, supportive, and I actually have nothing bad to say about the community itself. So for me, I just wanted to be involved in that, and I found a lot of enjoyment, and I still do, from hitting pan and using my makeup. But I've learned over the years that it's not the only thing that makes me happy. Using other makeup items in my collection makes me happy. Buying new makeup and trying new makeup and brands makes me happy. So yeah. Decluttering also makes me happy. If it's an item that I've had in my collection and I hate it, but I've also been like hate panning it, like that, like Odin's Eye. I hit pan in two Odin's Eye palettes before I ended up decluttering them, and I just wish I hadn't. I spent time trying to hit pan on palettes that I didn't really find much enjoyment from because I just didn't like the quality of the shades. And I've done that, oh gosh, I've done that with other palettes too, that I ultimately be like, you know what, I'm going to declutter it. Like the Sigma Corta Rosa, I kept that palette for 4 years because I just thought, well, it's Sigma, I need to keep it. It wasn't super cheap, and it just kept being rolled into projects because I do like random roll-ins sometimes. And I hit pan in 2 shades in that palette. But then eventually, finally, I ended up decluttering it because I can't keep working on palettes and neglecting other eyeshadow in my collection just because something's been rolled into a project and I feel like I have to use it. At some point, we have to realize, like, yeah, we've spent money on an item, but we're never going to get that money back. And if you don't like a makeup product, you do not have to finish it. You don't. Like, again, there's that pressure that you have to do it, but you really don't have to finish it if you don't want to. And nobody should sit there and be like, this is disappointing that you didn't do that. I mean, I'm sorry if it is disappointing to someone, but maybe have a think, like, why does it disappoint you that somebody not in your life has not done something that you wanted them to do? Like, how does that affect somebody? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know if any of this makes sense or is coming across in the right way. I'm not gonna not project pan because, like I said, I like it, and I have fallen down the negative side of it where I do feel this pressure, and I'm sure I will continue to feel that at some point. But at least I'm aware that I shouldn't be feeling that way, right? So I want anyone who is feeling that way to just realize you don't need to. It's makeup. It's just fun. We're just painting our faces, and a lot of us are using it as a way to express ourselves, maybe escape something. And so, yeah, it's not that serious at the end of the day. It is more what I'm getting at. It's hard to talk at the moment. So let me know what your thoughts are in what I said. If any of it makes sense. I don't think it does. I think just ultimately, I just don't want people to feel that massive pressure that you can feel from not hitting pan, not finishing a makeup item. And then also, I feeling guilty about buying new makeup, if you are project panning and you want to buy that new palette, buy it. But I don't think you should buy products to project pan, if that makes sense. I think that's when it goes wrong. But that's just my 2 cents. And who cares about my 2 cents, right? So anyone who wants to see the eye look up close, this is how it's looking. Kind of fun. I kind of like it. Kind of fun. It's kind of Halloween-y because it's kind of green and purple, but yeah. Anyway, that is my thoughts on project panning. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I don't know if I just rambled on for what it seems like a very long time. I'll try to edit it out as much as possible. But if you enjoyed it, then let me know in the comments, I guess, what you agree with, maybe what you disagree with as well. That would be really cool to know. Yeah, and if you disagree, like, why do you disagree? What do you disagree about? I don't know, it might be fun to talk about it a little bit more. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe and all that lovely stuff, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.